of the sale of the CJ building and your thoughts on parking requirements.
I find it surprising that CJs can go away and everybody won't be tickled. You know, it was a bar, it was a dance hall, it was a problem for the police department. The owner did as best they could to run it, but I don't miss it. The fact that NSA bought it to turn it into what I heard was a music conservatory, I thought was a good idea. I believe that the NSA students in downtown Moscow make Moscow as vibrant as it is downtown. Pullman is very jealous of our downtown. You saw some stories in the paper recently where they were talking right out loud about, well, we need to do what Moscow does. So I'm in favor of that sale. I'm glad it went through. I never quite fully understood the parking requirement. When the Kenworthy was restructured as an auditorium, I don't remember putting parking requirements on it.
Afraid your time is up. To mix things up a little bit, if other candidates want to respond to that, why don't we start with Ms. Hall and work our way towards me from there. Any candidates who wish to address the question, CJs and the parking issue.
Well, CJ's is a tough site to work with. One of the concerns that I have is that even though, because it's in the central business district, there's no specific parking requirement that attaches to that. But we have to be realistic. Folks need to have some place to store their cars, or we have to do something else. I'm not quite sure what that something else might be. But in the future, I'd like to see us address the whole issue of parking before the project gets too far along.
Thank you.
The conditional use that NSA received for that building was the same type of CUP that the University of Idaho received for the WWAMI program that was just initiated with equipment both downtown. And I got to share with you folks, I was at the WWAMI program last night. There's 40 first-year med students, 40 second-year med students, so 80 med students here in Moscow, and that's a big deal. So the point that I'm trying to make is, guess what? We got our schools downtown, whether it's the University of Idaho or whether it's New St. Andrews. So the parking issue is something that they have worked on, they defined. This went back to Board of Adjustment twice and came back to City Council as well, and on appeal process, and they did fine. With the University of Idaho, the CUP process went through with no, there was a complete unanimous decision on that one, as well as no appeals on it. So just to make things clear, we do have our schools in downtown.
And again, I urge our candidates to only address the questions if they have something particular they want to say, not to make any judgments about what's been said, but there are lots of questions. We want to get as many as we can.
Yeah, I was on Planning and Zoning Commission for 10 years, and part and parcel of zoning regulations is predictability. And that means that if an applicant checks off the boxes X, Y, Z, they get A, B, and C. So part of that with the conditional use permit was the mitigation of the parking issue through the requirement of 47 parking spaces for the new St. Andrews campus. There comes a point, if you require too many parking spaces in the downtown district, that the parking spaces themselves become more detrimental to downtown than what any perceived use might be. So walking a narrow line on development and parking downtown is one of the issues that we have to face, especially going forward into the future.
I'll make this very quick. I think that certainly there's a concern about the parking. I think there's an opportunity to talk with NSA about providing some supplemental parking as they did over off of Jackson. So let's not give up the idea that we can work with them to have them provide something in that for that space.
I think the question was specific to the parking issues. So as a business owner and speaking with several other business owners, I know that there were several concerns about the impacts of the increased demands on parking and the competition with the educational institution against businesses in the central business district. And my disappointment with the process is I felt there were several opportunities for those concerns to be heard that were within the legally acceptable means and appeal processes. And those opportunities were not accepted, not sought out. And people who came forward with those concerns through legally accepted means with appeals that were determined by the city to be valid, that the council chose not to read or consider those appeals. And there was a lot of information, including about flaws in the parking study, that the Board of Adjustment made their decisions based on.
I share some of those concerns about parking, and moreover, I believe we have a central business district for a specific purpose, which is a major factor in why our downtown is as wonderful as it is. My concern is with the tax base of allowing nonprofit entities into that space, and I will say that if we're going to have that conversation, I think it should be a fair one, whether we're talking about New St. Andrews or Whammy. But I think it's important to continue having that discussion of what we want our downtown to look like, especially in regards to it being the central business district.
Okay.